Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to our session where we'll be discussing global bridges between Singapore, Saudi Arabia, and the broader innovation ecosystem. My name is Ecem Altıok. I'm the investment director at Yıldız Ventures, which is the corporate venture capital arm of Yıldız Holding, where we have investments in more than 28 VC funds and more than 10 direct startups. So I was talking to Alan just before the panel. So he said, oh, I think I might be the only Asian guest here. And he asked me, maybe to understand how many people have ever been in Singapore. Could you please raise your hands?
Okay.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
What about Saudi Arabia? Less, right?
Oh, Les, you have a bigger problem.
Visa issue, maybe just like...
What kind of issue?
There is a visa issue.
No. It's actually solved.
Yeah, solved.
So everyone is always welcome to visit Saudi. Yeah.
Next year we'll ask the question again. Maybe we'll see more hands. So over the last decade, global innovation and capital flows have increasingly shifted beyond traditional Western hubs, and with Southeast Asia and the Middle East emerging as key growth and innovation regions. And to discuss these, I'm delighted to be joined today by Alan Yeo, Director at Enterprise Singapore, Mohammed Abu Hilal, CFO at Saudi Venture Capital and Private Equity Association. To structure the discussion, I'd like to start first with Singapore and the broader APAC ecosystem, and then move into Saudi Arabia, if that's okay, and the Middle East perspective. So, Alan, perhaps you could briefly introduce yourself and the Enterprise Singapore to the audience, and maybe from there, I can also ask my question. How would you define the Asia-Pacific investment ecosystem and Singapore's pivotal role in it, perhaps sharing some key figures as well?
Yeah, thanks Ecem for kindly introducing and asking the question. Very happy to see some people having been to Singapore, therefore understand my kind of English coming from my part of the world. My name is Alan Yeo. I'm the director for Europe. I'm based in Frankfurt, Germany, actually. So excuse my German accent if anyone hears part of it. Enterprise Singapore is a government agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Our main mandate is to help our Singapore enterprises to grow globally. And for that, we have over 35 offices worldwide. We help to link our local enterprises with businesses globally, also here in Istanbul and Turkey in the broader sense. But we also help to link businesses from global locations into Singapore, including startups, which is why it's relevant that I'm talking at this platform. So happy to be connected and understand how we can help your startups and VCs here to grow in our part of the world. Your first question about Asia-Pacific is a big one. Why? Because Asia-Pacific is a huge region, for those who do not know. We have over 4.5 billion people, over half of the world's population live in our part of the world, and it accounts for 40% of the world's GDP. I think more interesting is that by 2030, we project about 40% of the world's middle-income group will be coming from Asia-Pacific. So that signifies a global opportunity as well. In terms of investment opportunities, I must say I'm not an expert in Asia-Pacific, but maybe I'll zoom in into Southeast Asia, a narrower group of Asian countries, which I think signifies the growth and opportunities we see in Asia-Pacific. Southeast Asia has a population of 670 million people, not small. It has a digital economy that's worth over $1 trillion by 2030. Again, a very significant number. If you look at amount of investments, we have over 800 VC deals in 2024. This accounted for about $7 billion during that time. So you can see that a lot of things are happening in our part of the world. And this accounts only for the top 6 nations in Southeast Asia, including Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, as well as the Philippines. And you also asked, what's Singapore's role, therefore, in the entire thing? If you listen to those numbers, more than half of those deals, and as well as the value of those deals, happened in Singapore itself. We play a very critical role in the whole investment scheme, not only because we are geographically, centrally located in that region, but also we have built up a financial ecosystem, infrastructure that makes it
and everything.
correct. That makes it very easy to do business for you to do your financial transactions. So today we have over 4,500 startups from all over the world, including our own Singapore startups, with over 400 VCs present managing a large amount of funds in Singapore for their global investments and in the region. And I think that goes to show that Singapore is ready to do business with the world. And today we are one of the top 10 global ecosystems in the world, in terms of VC deals at least, along the lines of New York, London, Beijing, Tokyo. And we do continue to want to grow this particular sector.
Okay, perfect. So that regulation, like all the being central hub in Southeast Asia, is quite important from investor perspectives. Of course, we have a VC fund investment there, which is based in Singapore. Yes. So that's why it's quite crucial, as you said. So beyond capital flows, we also increasingly see Turkish startups looking at Asia as a scaling and expansion market. So what advice would you give to Turkish entrepreneurs? Even we don't have entrepreneurs here, but the investors, they could help for their portfolio companies, for their investments, to increase the number of their global success stories. And how should those interested in entering this ecosystem engage with Enterprise Singapore?
Yeah, no, thank you. Even though we don't have many startups here, all the VCs here represent, I heard there are 400 attendees. If each one only has 10 attendees, there are 4,000 startups that you represent. So that is advice that you can bring back. I don't profess to be a professional investor or expert, but I can tell you my views on speaking to startups. And I think one of the most famous startups from Turkey in our part of the world is Insider. Yeah. And they have grown successfully in Singapore. I managed to speak to the go-to-market director earlier this week. I have some insider news to Insider. And they grew first here in Turkey with their solutions. And after that, they quickly went to Dubai and London to take their media strategy and digital strategies to the part of the world, hoping to grow from there. Not long after that, they went into Singapore, hoping to grow in Southeast Asia. And what they learned from Southeast Asia was critical to their growth because they wanted to grow on a platform, but the mobile strategy was very strong in our part of the world. And they learned how to adapt their solutions into a mobile strategy. And that helped them to leapfrog, once COVID was over, into many other growth strategies. So I must say that they told us Singapore was critical to the growth because Singapore was home to many multinationals who was able to help them to test and validate their strategies and eventually give them the business that they need. At one time, Asia Pacific or Southeast Asia was more than 50% of their growth as they grew from Singapore. Today, it accounts for only 25%. Not because Asia has shrunk, but because they've grown so much globally. What advice can I give Turkish companies? I think the VCs here are probably in better position, have good ideas, test them out. And I think one of the things that I must say is that Turkish businesses are very resilient. I've been in Turkey for a week now, since Sunday. I've talked to businesses in Ankara and here in Istanbul. I asked them the question, both big and small businesses, the world is changing. How are you coping? They say, it's just another change. It's okay. Turkey has gone through a lot of changes. They are very resilient. I'm very impressed. And I think that spirit will drive a lot of the startups. But I think the critical part is to not be afraid to go out and venture out and to test their products. To grow in Turkey first is not wrong because you have a huge hinterland, a big market. But I think you need to also go further where the solutions are there. I guess the solution and buyer is there. Just like how Insider did it in Asia, where there was a more ready buyer of the solution. And hopefully, be it in the US, Europe, Africa, Middle East, or Asia Pacific. And I must add one line for Asia Pacific. I heard someone say, Asia used to be called the Far East. The Turkish businessman told me it's not very far at all. So welcome to our place and try to do the business there.
It used to be very far.
It used to be very far. The world is a lot smaller there.
That's why we call it Far East.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
But you used to call Far East because for the British people calling it Far East and the Middle East, right? So we are in the eastern part of the world. But the last part about how Enterprise Singapore can therefore help maybe the venture capitals and your startups to navigate, I'll just quickly end with just 2 things in Istanbul and 2 things in Singapore. One, Enterprise Singapore actually has an office here in Istanbul, in the Levant area. We've been here since 2012, so happy to connect with you all, with the office. The contact details are on our website, Enterprise Singapore, and we can connect and help you to link up with the ecosystem there. The second thing happening in Istanbul, we have a co-innovation program under the Eureka program that will be funding startups from Turkey and startups from Singapore to co-innovate, funded by TÜBİTAK here in Turkey, and for Enterprise Singapore from Singapore. The next call will be launched in the later part of the year, so your startups are most invited to take part in there. The two things in Singapore that you can take part in is one, Switch, our global annual innovation festival, the Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology, happening in end October every year, including this year. And as part of that global festival, we do have a startup competition that is now open online. The top 50 will be selected to fly into Singapore to take part in the pitch, free of charge, sponsored by us, and to win the prizes there. So Switch and Slingshot, which is the startup competition, is the first thing about Singapore I wanted to talk about. If anything else, you need to remember Stage 1. Okay, Stage 1 is a platform that we launched to help startups connect with the rest of Singapore, right? It's a one-stop shop for startups to know about everything and anything about the ecosystem in Singapore. And I'll stop there for now.
Thank you so much. But all the VCs and CVCs here should maybe reach out to you and understand more about the ongoing programs. And that program is really sound really nice, actually. The
Indeed.
award. So
Yeah.
that
My full team is here as well, so we'll be happy to network
exactly.
later on.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Mohammed, let me now turn to you and understand the Saudi perspective as well. So Saudi Arabia has become one of the fastest growing venture ecosystems in the region over the past few years. So perhaps you could also briefly introduce yourself to the audience again, and from there also I'll ask my question. So what's Saudi Arabia's position in this regional rise within the growing MENA? And what are the current growth trends telling us about Saudi Arabia's position within the broader MENA ecosystem? And specifically, of course, where does Saudi VC and PE association stand in this transformation, and what opportunities does it offer?
All right, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for inviting us, and this is the first time, and we hope that it's not the last time for sure. Talking about the Venture Capital Private Equity Association, we have some similarity with the CVC as a semi-government organization, which is hold and be the umbrella for the whole ecosystem. We actually build bridges between startups, policymakers, and also investors, and also the regulators. However, going back to your question, if we look at the landscape of the venture and the MENA region, Saudi Arabia is not only participating in the growth of it, actually, it's leading in that matter and playing a big part of it. Going to the investment within 2025, while it's $1.7 billion within 2025, and this deployed to 250 deals almost, with 45% venture in the regional flowing to the kingdom. And this is where the Venture Capital Private Equity Association key role, which is build the bridge between the whole chain, let's say, which is between the startups, the policymakers, and the regulators. And hopefully, we are doing a great job there. And we also work in a keen way with ministries such as Ministry of Investment, Ministry of Chamber of Commerce, and so on. And we hopefully we build bridges also with Turkey in the upcoming months.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. We also increasingly see Turkish startups and scale-ups evaluating the Gulf region as a strategic expansion market, because we also have a chance to talk to many startups, and instead of going to red ocean, either in the US or European market, they say, oh, we start with the Gulf region, or we try the southeastern markets. So my next question is related to that one. So what strategic steps should startups take if they want to enter and succeed in Saudi? and the broader Middle Eastern markets?
Okay. The biggest advice we can give for the startups that they need to focus deeply on the main market. They don't think globally. Don't put this phase as the first as an entry for the market. You need to focus on the main market. First, you need to understand the culture, and this is also a key point you need to consider. And also at the same time, you need to scale it up slowly. While you are ready for globally, you can go for global. And you need also to be aligned with the Vision 2030, which is a Saudi Arabian vision. In that matter, you need to focus on the AI, on the fintech, on the healthcare, and so on, etc. And this is also, if you need any help within this, you can also reach us as a venture capital private equity association, and we will build you these bridges between you as a startup and also the market.
That's the name of the panel as well. So perfect. Thank you so much. And my final question to both of you, so we are almost in time. Perhaps to also get your final 1 minute closing thoughts as well. While major startups still emerge from the West, and some part of global capital is also shifting from West to East, how do you foresee this affecting the future of the investment ecosystem? Maybe I'll start with Ellen.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think it is hard to stop that flow from the West to the East. I mean, the West, especially in the US, will still be an important capital market and the source of innovation. It is undeniably the largest, but I think the East is going to increase. I'm not talking about East, I also talk about Middle East as well, together with Saudi Arabia and Asia Pacific. When I talk about the Asia Pacific numbers, the middle income that grow, they need solutions, they need consumer products, and they need manufacturing solutions that for that part of the world. And I think when the solutions are there, some of the funding needs to go there as well. Also equally importantly, that if you look at what's been happening in the world the last 3 to 5 years, geopolitically, and we heard from the gentleman from UK earlier, it's going to be an increasingly difficult world to navigate, and a lot of the fund managers and fund owners want to diversify their risk. And I think Asia has been a stable environment, I would say, steadily growing. Southeast Asia is projected to overtake China in terms of GDP growth at a rate of 5% for the next 10 years. So we look at these numbers, and the need, I think, is inevitable that the people will come. And I've heard this phrase before, and just give me maybe 30 seconds more.
Sure.
That Turkey is a place where East meets West physically, right? Because you have Asia, and you have 3 bridges
2 continents
to connect the East to the West. We, in Singapore, we believe that we are also East meets West, where we are in the East, but we are very Western because there's 7,000 multinationals all over the world, and it becomes an easy place to do business. Why I bring this up is because I think the capital flowing is no longer just because of geographical location. It's being able to build the bridges, like what Turkey is doing here, and I like the title as well, Lead the Region, Building the Bridges. Singapore hopes to build a bridge with Turkey and your investors and to our region as well. So I think that capital flow and that investment is a scenario that will happen the next 5 to 10 years easily.
I think we need like different bridges, not just one bridge. So
Indeed.
welcoming all the bridges
Yes.
to increase the network and everything, right? Thank you so much, Ellen. So, Mohammed.
So, well, we look at it in a different way, actually. We don't see it as a replacement, rather than see it as a rebalancing between the West will always lead the innovation and the technology, for sure. But the East also, the East will also lead the growth of the capital. So basically, this is the way we see it. And hopefully, on the upcoming years, the main idea of getting funds within the regions and link the funds with the startups and so on. This is mainly based on the mentality, the growth, the maturity of the ecosystem within the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So it's clear that both Singapore and Saudi Arabia are becoming increasingly important gateways within the global innovation and venture ecosystem. So I believe there's a significant collaboration potential ahead with Turkey as well. So thank you both for sharing your perspectives and valuable insight with us today. Please join me in giving our speakers a warm applause. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.